Hey, hi, hello, friends. And I'm back, and this time I did my hair. Hi, guys, how are you doing? I hope you guys have been having a wonderful week so far. I know it's only Monday, but the closer we get to like holiday time, the worse the week actually feels. It's like it's somehow elongated. This is how I know time means nothing. Anyway, how do you guys like my hair? Be very, very honest. This is like, I don't do my hair very often, mostly because I have no idea what I'm doing. But I got this, it's like the John Frieda blow drying wand. And my sister got two, and then she brought one here for me the last time she was visiting, and then she forgot hers as well. So now I own two. So I figured I might as well like use it and see if I can make something of it. I think I did okay, especially for my first try, and I did use a little bit of a heat protectant in it, so it looks a little bit extra silky. As you guys know, my hair's got some waves, but I am like inordinately proud that I managed to look like a semi-decent person. All right. Makeup is a lot, I realize that, but I was playing with the Age of Opulence palette and I got a little carried away. There's a lot of color in there, plus I've been doing a lot of neutral looks recently, so I figured might as well do something a little bit more wham bam. The original plan was just to do like some of that pinkish color on the outside and then just do the gold, and then got carried away with doing like the multicolored liner and all that. Let's talk about what you guys are actually here to see. Chantal. So Chantal's had a very busy week. I was actually going to upload yesterday, and I got a little bit late in the day, and I was like, it's fine. I'll just upload it. I'll just like record at night, and then I'll upload it the next day. No big deal, right? Like, it happens sometimes. And I literally edited down two things because I was going to record one for the channel, and then I wanted to do a bonus one for the patrons. And I woke up, and it was like a whole mess of more stuff had happened. You know, the whole Pete stuff had happened. And then while I was still digesting that, it was like, it feels like if I step away for even like a day or so, like I'm so far behind that it feels actually ridiculous. So the two videos that I had actually edited down already that I was planning on uploading, I'm still going to record them, but I'm going to record them a little bit later. It's the meat pies and lies and the one after that. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up here because my memory is like absolute crap. I have a new boil because I do actually have some information, plus the bathtub cleaning, because I want to discuss her finances. But I'll do those for the patrons, and both of them are going to be for the patrons. And I have two videos that I've edited down today, so I'm probably going to do a double upload either today, or you're going to get like them in pretty quick succession. So like one tonight and then one like tomorrow morning or something like that. It just depends on how fast YouTube wants to actually do a thing. So that's one thing. Second thing I want to say is thank you so much to Kenzie, Christine, I'm bad with names. I actually used her clips. I'm assuming it's a her, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. Her video that she did where she clipped everything together from Foodie Beauty's nonsense, and then she made like her own video from it, and I used hers. Hers was the first one that I saw pop up, and so I just grabbed that. She does a great job as well. You guys know I use Just Saying most often because I find hers to be pretty comprehensive, and also, I don't know, I like the way she edits her stuff. I find that she picks up on a lot of the stuff that I personally find is interesting, but it's always nice to have more than one source. So thank you guys so much for the recommendation, and it was helpful to have all of the clips that were already in there. So with all of my rambling out of the way, let's actually talk about Chantal, and I'm just going to throw all my thoughts into the video rather than rambling a little bit more and then getting into it. So let's get into it. So she puts up these messages, and both of them are talking about just her financial situation. Now, I'm not going to get too much into it because I will save that discussion for my patrons. I just think that it's interesting that now is the time when she's decided to put up requests for funds, as it were. Setting up a PayPal is not hard exactly, but it can be a little bit challenging. It can be difficult, especially for someone who's used to doing as little work as Chantal is. So the fact that she went through with it says something to me. It's going to be up on screen. If you guys want to read it, pause the video, or you guys can go to Kenzie's original video and check that out, or you can go to Chantal's, you know. Pete's uploaded.
So yeah, my depression's been really...
So Pete's uploaded a video. This is a lot of it, by the way. This is just a straight grab from the beginning of the video, I think, and then I have a couple of clips at the end. So that's mostly Kenzie's work, not mine. Pete's has his own channel, and you guys know I don't exactly follow along with Pete's channel, but Pete's has had an ongoing struggle with depression for a very long time. And the thing is, I have complicated thoughts about Pete. I've said before, I find him to be a little performative when it comes to his activism. I find him to be a little bit overbearing. He annoys me a lot. And his lack of just action when it comes to foodie beauty, his lack of like action when it comes to a lot of the stuff that happens in his life is something that always like bugs me a tiny bit. That being said, I don't think he's like a terrible person. And not even in the way that I think Chantal's a bad person. I think that he's just kind of like a guy who struggles, right? He's not really good at a lot of things. And I think that he definitely tries his best with his mental health, which not like having a mental illness is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And I've said that before, right? One of the reasons why it's so hard for me to cut Chantal a lot of slack is because she actively chooses not to take a acting role in a lot of her mental health struggles. She basically just lets it like go by the wayside. Whatever happens, happens. It's kind of the way that she treats it, is that it's whatever. It's not important to her. And so when she tries to use it as a defense, I'm like, well, if it wasn't as important to you to take any action about, then why are you asking me to give it importance now that you need sympathy? It either is important or it isn't important, but you can't have both at once. And that's kind of how I feel like she wants it. She wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. And I don't think that Pete's really treats it the same way. He seems to be in regular therapy. He has medication, which he might need adjusted, absolutely. And I think that living with Chantal has definitely exacerbated that. Look, there are a lot of things in your life that can make depression worse, right? Depression is one of those things that is affected by your outside surroundings, and depression affects your outside surroundings. So it's like, it's a feedback loop. The worse that your surroundings get, the worse you feel, and the worse you're likely to treat your outside surroundings. I've actually made a video on my channel a pretty long time ago where I was like digging a little bit more into the science of that and just gave a lot of evidence. It was one of my earlier, I think, foodie beauty videos. And it is very fairly well observed that if you can kind of power through it and you can get your area clean and you can make some actual positive changes to your surrounding, that your depression is, I wouldn't say better, you don't get better, but it does help. You know, so I know there's a lot of people who say like, well, it doesn't matter how much exercise I get, I'd still be depressed. Yeah, but you might not be as depressed, right? At least evidence-wise speaking. It can help, right? It doesn't make it worse, if anything. And so I think that living with someone like Chantal, who tends to keep very poor hours, who has no conception of cleanliness, who has no conception of personal boundaries, who blows through so much of the goodwill that people provide her with, and essentially brings on the wrath of the internet, not just onto herself, but onto Pete's as well, right? A lot of his personal information has been released onto the internet because of Chantal, especially information about his mom and stuff. And because of that, I think that Pete's life has gotten harder through really no fault of his own. Now, I know he has a YouTube channel and he discusses information on there. That doesn't necessarily mean that all of the negativity that he receives is his fault, right? I mean, he does choose to associate with Chantal, and so that's on him. But beyond that, I would say a lot of like the cops showing up at the house repetitively, the animal control people showing up at the house repetitively, him getting asked about Chantal all the time on all of his social media platforms. I genuinely think they're going to contribute to his poor state of being, as we shall call it.
Really bad lately. It's getting untenable. Yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts on why my depression's been particularly bad lately, but I don't really want to get into those. Just, it's getting dangerous. You know, I've been taking care of the cats, feeding the cats, and scooping the litter. I've been doing that stuff, but other than that, even doing a lot of that has been tough. I'm just sort of existing. And that only barely.
I feel for him a lot. Right? I have a little bit of history with depression myself, and it's not a fun place. It's really a very difficult thing to contend with. And see, here's the thing. If Chantal had been even slightly a better person, I would say that at least he has like someone living with him. Because having just someone around can make a huge difference if you're feeling down, right? If you're feeling depressed, like knowing it's not necessarily in that moment, because yeah, it's really what like depression manifests in different ways in different people, right? I wasn't the kind of person who, when I would get depressed, like it was hard for me to get out of bed and everything, but I also was very, very irritable. like very highly irritable. I would get just irrationally angry, and I already have a temper problem, so it just exacerbated that. But when you're looking at someone like Pete and you think to yourself, oh, well, at least he has a roommate there with him to provide silent support, if nothing else. It just sucks that the roommate he has is Chantal. It just sucks that the friend that he has is Chantal, because Chantal is dumping the responsibility of the cats onto him without providing him with anything. And we'll get more into what is and is not her responsibility. It just sucks that he finds himself in this situation. I hope that he has like IRL family and friends who see this and they maybe take some action. Even if you're a little bit of a distant friend of Pete's, reach out to him. Even if you're just talking to him via the internet, it might make him feel better. If you are an internet friend of Pete's, reach out to him and see if he wants to engage in something, even if it's not something like his depression related, right? You could just talk about X-Men since he likes X-Men so much, you know? Just talk to him, you know? Keep not tabs on him, but just look into how he's feeling. And as for Pete's, depression is a difficult thing to cure, but you need to see a doctor. If it's gotten this bad this fast, he doesn't want to speculate on what the reasons for it are, but I genuinely think a lot of it is just seasonal, of course, but it's also related to the way that Chantal has been recently, in that she's dumped all of her responsibilities, which is basically just the cat and the cleanliness of the house, and onto Pete's, kept his money from him, and he's basically isolated from everybody else in his life. And I think the combination of all of those things are probably not helping him at all. Best thing for him, 100% in my personal belief, he needs to move out. Move out, go to Toronto, see if he can get a job there. You know, it is the Great Resignation after all. I'm sure he can find something. And his previous company was happy with him from my understanding. So see if they're willing to employ you again, even if it's just for a temporary basis, even if it doesn't pay a lot, because I think that just having that interaction with other people who aren't Chantal and aren't pieces of shit therefore will really, really help him.
I'm just tired. Mentally and emotionally exhausted. Tired right down to my soul. You know, it's that absolutely defeated level of tired.
I get that. And it's, once more, I resonate with him because I've been on that same frequency. It really, really sucks. That kind of feeling is so hard to combat. And the only thing I can say is that I'm lucky that I had my family around me. I'm lucky that I had partner there with me, because I don't know if I would have been able to do anything on my own. It's just, my sister forced me to go to like a support group, like partner helped me, and partner helped me, just keeping me company, you know, like even when I got irritable with him, even when I got short with him, I had my brother keep in touch with me. I had, you know, my parents here. I had partner's parents here. And it was just really lovely knowing there were that many people there who cared about my well-being. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't fun. And I was lucky, like immensely lucky and immensely privileged, because for me, it was a short-term thing caused by hormonal imbalance. And once the hormonal imbalance was corrected, I went back to kind of being the way that I am. But that sucked. It was the worst period of, like, one of the worst periods of my life. I can't say the worst objectively, because I think when my grandma passed away might have been the worst, but it was one of the worst feelings I've ever had in my life. That gnawing sense of complete and utter, like, despair. And I know it doesn't manifest the same for everyone. Some people see it as just like not caring, of not giving the ability to give a shit. That wasn't how I felt. I just felt soul crushingly sad and angry. And it is the worst feeling in the world. And I feel for him so bad. Like, despite the fact that I don't think Pete is my favorite person in the world, I don't think he's a monster. I know there's a lot of people out there who have issues with his fan fiction, and honestly, it's cringy and I don't like it, and it makes me feel really weird that he wrote that stuff. But there is something about people writing about things that are... It's different to write about a topic that is taboo in real life. And a good example of that to me would be like Lolita, right? It's a horrible, horrible thing that if you've read Lolita, you'll understand. But it's a great book. And I think that there is a difference between having writing something with taboo subjects and engaging in taboo subjects themselves. If you guys are at all involved in the fan fiction community, you'll know about the anti-shippers and the shippers, right? And this is kind of where I fall into. It's a difficult topic. I don't have a very clear view on it, but Princess Weeks is my go-to channel. She does great content. She covered this. I think Sarah Zed might have also covered this. And I really recommend checking both of their videos out on like purity culture and shipping and anti-shipping. And I think it'll give you a better understanding of the whole thing, not just, oh, this is good or this is bad, because labeling it as good or bad is not very nuanced. But anyway, I got off track. I just mean to say that I feel for Pete. He's not the greatest guy, but I really do feel for him. I don't think anyone should suffer like this. Chantal being Chantal, immediately saw this, people reaching out to her. They're like, hey, he said some pretty alarming things. We're kind of concerned. Just like when they asked Pete to check on her, they asked her to check on Pete. And Chantal's response was, I saw Pete's video and I just want to crawl into a hole with how bad I feel. I'm going to be there for him. I have checked on him and I knew he was down. I just didn't realize how bad. The first thing I want to say here is that her statement starts with, I saw Pete's video and I want to crawl in a hole with how bad I feel. I promised myself I wouldn't call him Pete's anymore. I'd call him James. I'm so bad. But she starts with saying, I just want to crawl into a hole with how bad I feel. And that's immediately a ploy for guys. Shit, this is so terrible. I'm so sorry about this. But fuck you. This is not about you. That shouldn't have been the first thing out of your mouth about how bad you feel. You know what I mean? It just made me feel some kind of way. The fact that the first thing she does is she centers her emotional state in a conversation about his depression. And then the second thing is she talks about, like, hi, we're going to go for some Christmas lights and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for thinking of Pete. I've been a shit friend. I can't cure his depression, but I can be more for him. And that's pretty much it, right? And you would think that's a good thing. I'm glad. You're glad. Yay, she's here. She's keeping an eye on Pete. Maybe. No, maybe. How dare you hope? And once more, you can pause and read it more. I paraphrased the second one a little.
Yes, Pete is fine. And I can't cure his depression, guys.
Okay. She comes on her channel and she's streaming. And I know there's a little bit of discourse back and forth about why she decided to stream, because she couldn't have possibly imagined that people would have been okay with her going. I think there's two reasons why she streamed. One, because she's going to be going over there anyway, and we're going to find out anyway. So she might as well preempt it. She knows herself well enough to know she won't be able to keep this from us, especially if she wants to go live later, which is what I think she planned on doing. The second and more important reason why I think she goes on live is because I don't think Chantal thinks her actions through. She doesn't sit there and think, I wonder if this is an opportune moment for me to tell my fans about what's happening in real life. I think Chantal sits down, and the way that I sometimes get into a car and I immediately call like a friend to chat so that I can do something while I'm driving, Chantal turns on lives. She doesn't have anybody else in her real life, and so a lot of times this is what she turns to. She turns to the internet, and it's a very automatic reaction to her. Oh, in a car, let's turn on live. The same way that she goes, in a car, let's go get a Starbucks. She's connected those two actions in her head, and now she does both of them, no matter what the circumstances are. She should think her actions through. She just doesn't.
It's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen in one day. So I'm very depressed myself, and
no one's asking you to cure her depression. No one can cure anybody else's depression. Not even doctors can really cure depression. They can give you things that can help, right? And sometimes the depression will go away. But given how little we actually understand about depression, it's not a surprise. No one's asking you to cure Pete's depression in either case. We're asking you to be there for him, which is what you promised. You said you can be there for him more. Those were your words, not ours. And people might be asking that for you, but that's ultimately what it is. We're not saying, hey, Chantal, go to medical school, get a degree, do tons and tons of neurological research and cure depression. No one is asking that from you. And quite frankly, no one expects you to do more than basically just hang around the house. But that's not how it works for Chantal. She doesn't. This is why I wanted to bring the conversation of nuance into Pete's writing, right? You might not agree with it, but there are shades of gray. And I don't want us to fall into the same kind of linear black and white thinking that Chantal displays with a lot of the issues that she has in her life. It's either good or it's bad. I can either cure him or I can't do anything. There's no middle ground. There's no nuance. Like, my sister didn't cure my depression, but she encouraged me to go to different groups, right? She like found a book club. She's like, hey, maybe you can join this and you can talk to people. You know, she knows me well enough to know that going out and doing things and talking to people will help. And this is pre-pandemic, by the way. I just want to paraphrase this. But she found a support group. She's like, hey, go to a support group. You'll have fun. Go talk to other people in the same situation as you. You love talking, you know? And she encouraged me and she was right. It made a huge difference. Partner couldn't cure my depression, but he could sit with me. He could make sure that he woke up with me in the mornings. He could take me to all the doctor's appointments. He could make sure that I didn't have to worry about anything else. He's not always the greatest when it comes to keeping the house clean. I'll be very honest with you. He's like a messy person. But when I was having a hard time, he really stepped up. My parents, my brother, his parents, his brother, all the people in my life contributed in one way or another to make sure I didn't feel alone. My friends came, they called, they made food. They were there, they were presents in my life. You don't have to do anything for someone who's having a hard time. All you really need to do is be there for him. Sometimes when people are going through a really, really hard time, all they really need to see is that they matter to other people. And that can make a huge amount of difference. That's why people write, you matter. You know, people care about you. People love you. You'll be missed on places like the Golden Gate Bridge because they are places where when people are at their lowest point, they go to sometimes unalive themselves. And seeing that kind of message, to know that there's a stranger out there who can care about you, who will miss you, even if it makes you reconsider for a second, isn't that like enough? You don't have to cure anybody's depression. Just being there for a while can make a huge difference. And then immediately she starts with, well, I'm very, depressed myself. If you're depressed yourself, then you, more than anyone else, should be able to sympathize with how he's feeling, right? You're in a relationship, if that's how she wants to see it. I don't think that it's a relationship, but if she wants to see it as okay, we're in a relationship, then you understand what having somebody else there in your life can mean. When you went through your drug problems, right? You're claiming that you have now kicked the bucket, but you didn't do that alone. Your uncle took you to the hospital in the middle of the night. He let you stay at his place to recover. Your mom was there. Your family was there. Pete's was there. All of these people helped you recover from a time when you were having a difficult time. Your Beezers, your VI Beezers, all of the people in your chat, they were all there. They all took time, energy, and effort to help you recover. So when you sit there on camera and say, well, I can't cure his depression, well, I can't cure your addiction. Your uncle couldn't cure your addiction. So why are you asking and reaching out to them for help? Why do you expect them to provide you with any of that support? You can't cure addiction any more than you can cure depression. It's an aspect of you that you have to just sort of live with. It's better and it's worse, but it's always there, right? Unless you're in like the minority like I am, where genuinely there was a cure, right? Like depression is much more difficult to manage in some cases because there's not always one root cause. But you know what I mean. You understand the thought I'm trying to get across. This was sad and it was pathetic. That's the best way that I can put it. And it was so incredibly selfish. Like Chantal doesn't have a lot of goodwill or brownie points in my opinion, but whatever goodwill she's ever earned, she blew for me with this. The words that Pete spoke were, it's getting unbearable. It's getting so difficult. The way he spoke, even if it wasn't, I want to unalive myself, the way he spoke very clearly said that things were heading in that direction. And you couldn't sit your ass down on a couch and play Mario Kart with him. You couldn't sit your ass down on his bed and watch, I don't know, Attack on Titan with him. You couldn't do that for one night. You couldn't give up one night of your life for your friend? It is a selfishness and a callous disregard for another human being's life, a human being who you claim to care a lot about, who seems to care a lot about you. And quite frankly, it is disgusting to see.
He assured me he's gonna be okay, and I said I'm here for you anytime. I have my phone on. I don't know how to say this. I don't need people coming in here every time and shaming me for stuff. So
when she says, I don't know how to explain it to you people, what she means is have you ever had an argument with someone and midway through the argument you think to yourself, oh shit, I'm wrong? You know? I'm not going to say that I've always been the better person and I think, oh, I'm wrong, I'll admit it and I'll move on from there. Most of the time, these are very stupid opinions that I'm arguing on. For better or for worse, a lot of my friends have similar opinions to me on things that tend to be truly divisive, like politics. Not always. It's not always like all homogenous. It's all different levels, but I don't have anyone who's going to be like, I don't know, rooting for like hardcore communism or fascism, right? But when I have an argument with someone, right, and I'm wrong, sometimes it's hard for me to admit that. And so you try and work your argument in a way that makes you sound like you're right, but you don't quite have the words because you know you're not right? Like fan theories are a big one. I get into so many internet debates with people on different things. By the way, I'm wearing a Hogwarts t-shirt. I'm sorry. This is like, I should have probably changed, especially in light of the stuff that's come out about J.K. Rowling. I'm very emotionally attached to the series of books because they were very pivotal in my childhood. And every time she comes on Twitter, she makes me hate her a little bit more. But I didn't realize the shirt I was wearing until I was just looking at it and it said Hogwarts. But Harry Potter theories were a big one of those. When I was younger, especially, I used to like argue with people about what certain aspects mean and what this could be and what that could be. And honestly, anyone who defends Snape is garbage. But anyway, that's why she has difficulty articulating her points. Chantal is not the most articulate or verbose at the best of times. She's not great at picking and choosing her vocabulary. And part of that is that she doesn't care how she comes across. There's a distinct lack of shame in her. And so she doesn't care if she comes across as like stupid. She doesn't care. Like, I'm using those words very liberally. I don't mean that she is actually stupid. She doesn't care if she comes across as being like uncultured or stupid or whatever. I care about being misunderstood, which is why I try and be as precise as I can, but Chantal doesn't care about that. She, in fact, aims for the vagueness that can provide her with, because then it gives her wiggle room. She can like squeeze out of little holes of taking responsibility and accountability for her actions when inevitably they come back and bite her in the butt. So that's why she's like, I don't know how to make you guys understand. We understand just fine. You don't understand. And we'll see more and more of the clear thinking that she has and what she doesn't see as wrong.
Like, if you're in here to shame me for being a bad friend to Pete's, when actually I'm a very good friend to Pete's. Yes, I was a shitty friend around when Timbit died. I guess shitty friend for not being there as much, or for not just being so self-absorbed I didn't see more signs that he was more like, I knew he was depressed. I haven't been the best of friend, but I don't need people constantly coming in here. Like, this is my VIBs. I want it to be like a place where I can come and just like talk freely and not be judged every time.
Okay, you said that you're not a bad friend, and you listed a few examples of how you were not a good friend. But if you're not a bad friend, then can you give us some examples of how you're a good friend, right? I know that she pays for a lot of the stuff in the house. I don't consider that to be something she's doing for Pete's, because that was their agreement upon moving in, that she would be paying for the vast majority of the house expenses because Pete's could not afford this place. That was the deal they struck. So no, that is not a point in the favor of her going without. Like I'd expressed in a video previously, that when you give money to someone or you're paying for something, then the way that the other person thinks of it is, she's going without something. So, and therefore it is a sacrifice on her part. It's not a sacrifice on her part because this was the agreement they came to, right? If you take a mortgage from a bank, right, to pay back a house, you're not doing the bank a favor. This is the agreement you signed. You didn't have to buy the house. And this is the same thing. If you made an agreement with someone, whether you think now it's fair or not, whether you think you're being overly generous or not, the time to negotiate those terms was before you moved in. Once you move in, you have to uphold your side of the bargain, especially because your circumstances have not changed. Now, if she's paying for additional stuff that Pete's promised he would pay for, I can understand that. But to be fair, you're also holding on to his money as well, because you were given super chats with the understanding that they would be passed on to Pete's. And if that wasn't true, you should have made it abundantly clear. You didn't. You lied. And you kept that money. So, can't help but feel that maybe you're not doing as much financially for him as you thought. And I'll discuss more of the financial aspect of what I think is actually happening there in my video for my patrons. Why can't I word? Which, by the way, if you guys are curious, I'm drinking, this is coffee. This looks really, really gross, but it's oat milk with instant espresso mixed in. I am too lazy. This is the Trader Joe's oat beverage, chocolate oat beverage. It's 100 calories per cup, and it's actually really tasty. It just looks really gross in my mug. I don't know why. I'm still going to drink it, though. Sorry. And I think she equates in her head that money and affection are the same thing. It's why I think she views her VIBzers as her friends, because they give her money, therefore they are her friends. She gives Pete's money, therefore she is a friend to Pete's. I think where that connection is in her head. I think that's where it is. Just to point this out, I don't think that's true at all. I do a lot of stuff for my friends, and my friends do a lot for me, and most of it isn't in terms of money, right? For one thing, we are all relatively financially okay, but on another, I think that there's a lot more love shown when you do something that has more sentimental value to it. Like one of my friend's kids is turning 5, and I'm planning on getting her this like handmade flamingo blanket, because flamingos are her favorite animals. She's getting a brand new room, and she's really excited about decorating it, and I wanted to get her something that's sentimentally important to her. It's not hugely expensive, but it's something that I know she will love. And that's what I mean. It's not just an object of money. I don't give any of my friends things that cost a bunch of money for Christmas, right? For one, they out-earn me for one thing. And even if I could throw money at people, that's not a substitute for love. Like a couple of years ago, a friend of mine had an orange tree, and it gave a bunch of oranges and then died subsequently thereafter. I made orange curd. I made a ton of orange curd. I went, picked all the oranges. I made a ton of orange curd. I gave it to her. I gave it to the friends. And that was the effort on my part, right? It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to make that. And yes, it costs money for the butter and the eggs and everything, but it was more the effort that made the difference. And that's, I don't think, what she understands. People don't care about money, right? Money is helpful every once in a while and in short term, but it's not, you can't buy people's friendships.
For like the same things over and over. And I'm talking about like people who I know are in here just for drama, you know, or who really don't even actually like me. Like, I just feel like I'm just tired of people telling me try to tell me how to live my life and shaming me because I don't live it. Like, I can't make Pete's go into inpatient care.
A couple of things here. No one is forcing you to live your life in any particular way. We can't reach through the screen and force you to do anything. You're choosing to live your life exactly the way you want to live it. The only thing we can do is disagree. And I think what you want is for your VIBzers in particular, but for everyone as a whole, to be happy with the life choices that you're making. And if your expectation is that we will go quietly into the night, you don't understand anybody at all, because people won't. Because they don't agree with the choices. And that is the bargain you make with the internet when you decide to put your life online. When you put your life online, people will give you shit for it. If you put your life on TV, people will give you shit for it. I mean, take a look at the 1,000 Pound Sisters reality show, right? Like, Tammy Slayton gets a ton of hate. And the trade-off for that is that she's getting a bunch of free help and money from that TV show, notoriety for her YouTube channel. You can be whoever you want to be on the internet. There's people who are talking about their everyday real lives who are doing like amazingly, who everyone loves. Mostly everyone loves. You can't make everyone happy. you are not that person because you choose to make poor decisions and then you expect people to agree with you. And when they don't, you get mad. I can't force you to be a good friend to Pete. I can't force you to go home and take care of your cats. I can't force you to stop doing, nose candy. I can't force you to do anything. But I can say, I think you're being a bad friend. I think you're being a shit cat owner. And I think you're still using. I can say all those things. And if you want consent, you've come to the wrong place. The internet is not here for that.
I love Pete. He's my best friend, but I can't cure his depression, guys. So for you to put this all on me and just make me feel like a piece of shit is wrong too.
No one's asking you to cure his depression. By the way, she keeps talking about inpatient. I don't know if Pete qualifies for inpatient. Inpatient has some pretty strict rules about who is and who is not allowed. So I don't know. But taking him to the doctor would have been nice, given how bad his depression is all of a sudden. It could just be that something has changed in his medication. Sometimes something as simple as an inactive ingredient, like you switch from one no-name brand to another no-name brand, and sometimes the inactive ingredient will cause a reaction in some people. It's not common, but it happens. Most common, I think it's in thyroid medication. So you're sitting there and you're saying, I can't cure his depression. I can't cure his depression. No one's asking you to cure anything. They're just asking you to be a friend. They're asking you to be present, and you can't seem to do that. And you're mad that people don't agree with you. Live your life however you want, Chantal. No one's going to stop you from living your life. No one can stop you from living your life. But if you want people to not think that you're a piece of shit, then don't act like a piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so I don't need that. I will block you, and I won't be unblocking certain people. I'm tired of it. So if you just make me feel a certain negative way, I'm just gonna block you. Calling the cops when Pete doesn't even like cops. We went for a nice ride. He didn't want to go live, so I didn't go live. Probably a bad idea. His fam should help too.
I agree with her. I can't believe I say that because I hate agreeing with Chantal on anything. Please stop calling the cops. Please stop calling the cops. I've said this multiple times before. Do not call the cops and waste their resources. Do not do that. The only time you should be doing that is if you literally think that somebody is in danger and they're about to die, right? In this one case, I can see where they were coming from because Pete's language was a little bit concerning. And if she's being reckless on the road, those are some of the only times where I think you should be calling the cops. I think those are the only ones. I can't think of the other caveats I had in my head. Don't call the cops. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of resources that accomplishes nothing, okay? Because unless you have proof of illegality, the cops can't really do anything. And yes, a welfare check is not the same as just calling the cops on her. And I think that in this case, it might have been warranted. But just keep that in mind. Don't just willy-nilly call the cops, because the more times you call them, they make a report. You know that, right? And they file it away. And every time you call the cops on Chantal and it turns out to be nothing, it makes it much more likely that the next time they might not send anybody out there at all. And that might be the time where the cops were really required, because Nader could be really losing his temper and could be, I don't know, in the fits of a violent episode. That's why you need to be so careful. That's why I really don't encourage people from interfering in their lives unless somebody's life is genuinely immediately at stake. As for Pete's not liking the cops, I don't like the cops either. My brain goes numb. I'm terrified of guns, and I don't like them either. That said, a welfare check is not the same as having the cops called on you, and if that's the only way that you can make sure someone's okay, then that's the only way you can make sure that someone's okay.
It's not even about begrudging helping Pete. I don't know where this comes off as. People, you make shit up.
Sorry, she'd mentioned something before that I don't think I addressed. She said that she came back and, she went live. She didn't want to go live because Pete didn't want to go live. And, they went to the Christmas drive-thru. She uploaded a vlog where she was doing the Christmas drive-thru. And I found that to be extremely disgusting, because if he doesn't feel well enough to be on camera, that means he doesn't feel well enough to be on camera. It doesn't matter whether it's a vlog or it's a live. The fact that you decided to go and you decided to film it, even though he specifically was very clear with you that he didn't want to do a live, he probably didn't immediately clock that you would go to, okay, I'll just make a pre-recorded video out of it, because you haven't really been doing any of that. And the fact that you did that, I know I say this all the time, but god damn, Chantal, do I lose respect for you every time you do something like this. Every time you do something like this, I lose respect for you. You could have just spent time with them. Not everything has to be vlogged. Not everything has to be on camera. Not everything has to be a money-making opportunity. You could have just been there for your friend. Taking him outside and actually engaging with him could have been a great experience. But the fact that you turned on that camera makes me doubt your motivations for doing it. It makes me feel like your motivations were, how can I monetize this? And not, let me be here for my friend. And the fact that you decided to leave so soon after, same thing.
You make me a person I'm not. You make me an animal hater, an animal neglector, a fucking bad friend, everything. And I'm tired of it.
No, we hold up a mirror to your behavior that you're not really willing to see or willing to acknowledge. That doesn't actually mean that that's not the person you are, right? Because you spend 2 or 3 hours at home every day getting clean clothes, maybe taking a shower, maybe feeding the cats, but you're not there taking care of them for almost 48 hours at a time because you sleep over at his house and you come back the next day. So you see them for a little bit one morning, you're gone for almost like 40 hours and you come back again a few hours later. So you are neglecting your cats. And yeah, you can say cats are more independent, but that doesn't mean that they don't need anything. If they were completely self-sufficient, they'd be wild animals, not house pets. And you're not taking care of them. Pete is the one who's taking care of them. You just show up there and pet them every once in a while and then fuck off to who knows where. Well, we do know where, unfortunately. So when you're sitting there and you're saying that, well, I'm not a animal hater. No one says you hate animals. You just don't care about animals. You don't love your animals. And for many people, their animals are their fur babies. For many people, I have friends who love their pets more than most people love their children. And that's how it is when you have a living, breathing creature living with you. They're a part of your family. You are responsible for them. But you treat your pets the way you treat yourself. And it's forgivable how you treat yourself because you are your own person. Do whatever poor decisions you want to make with your life, you make them. No one's going to stop you. But when those poor decisions start impacting the people around you, that's when it becomes a problem. That's why when people say, well, I'm not harming anybody else. Well, that's why when she says I'm not harming anyone else, you're wrong. You're harming those cats. The burden you're putting on Pete is harming Pete. The filthy, disgusting way you live is harming Pete as well. The pain you cause your family when they see you like this, that's another harm you're doing. The money you're taking from your audience, who many of them admitted in your own chats that they were living paycheck to paycheck while providing them with absolutely nothing, that does harm to them. The negative stereotypes that you're perpetuating about what inpatient is like, that does harm to people. You are actively doing harm. You are a harmful person. You are not a source of positivity, positive input, energy for anyone in your life. You are a drain to everyone around you, Chantal. And the saddest part about it is that the person who you do the most amount of damage to is yourself.
So if you don't want to be here, you don't like me, don't be here because I'll get rid of you. Foodie informant can go, goodbye. I'm not responsible for somebody else's mental health. I'm not.
You're not responsible for anybody else's mental health. But then when you come on here and you say, well, I'm also depressed, I'm not responsible for your mental health. Sucks to be you, but I guess it is what it is. Suffer, I guess. Does that feel nice? No. You want the sympathy from your audience because you are going through a mentally hard time. I'm not saying that she isn't. Chantal has a lot of unaddressed mental health concerns. But when she's coming on here and she's disregarding the mental health of someone who cares so much about her and at the same time using it as a ploy for sympathy for herself, all I feel is unfiltered disgust. All I feel is immense pity for her. And that's why I think I'm not even all that angry. Like, I have a couple of moments of like irritation, but genuinely at the end of the day, I look at where she will be in 5 years, in 10 years, and all I see is somebody who is broke, who is in the grips of one form of addiction or another, and who is completely and utterly alone. No one's YouTube career lasts forever. I've said this so many times. Even giants like David Dobrik and Shane Dawson fall. Okay? Everybody's channel dies eventually. Everyone's career takes a dip eventually. No one can stay on top of their game forever. Movie stars and starlets and musicians, everyone fades off into obscurity at some point. The same is going to happen for you. And the way that you're treating Pete's right now means that the one true IRL friend that you have, you're doing a real good job of driving him away. You've driven away literally everybody else in your life. And the moment the money stops coming in, Natter's going to hightail it out of there so fast, he's going to look like the road runner. So I would be so much more mad at her. But A, I don't have the energy. I'm very, very busy with work. And B, I feel so incredibly sad for her. I feel so, like, I think about where she will be in 10 years' time. And I feel pity for her in a way that I rarely feel pity for Chantal. Because this is pathetic. It's so self-centered and so pathetic that I don't have words for it. And eventually, when it becomes you who needs help from other people, no one's going to want to help you. Because you've burned all of the kindness out of them.
Here for Pete's anytime. That's not going to change. That's not going to change because I'm with Natter. That's not going to change for anything. So yeah, as soon as I seen his video, I rushed over, and he just wants a bit more privacy right now. So,
just because someone wants privacy doesn't mean that's what they need, right? Wants and needs are two very different things. Pete's can say that, yeah, you know, I'm just having a hard time right now. I want some privacy. And I can't help but feel that the concept of privacy might have come up in the conversation of, I don't want to be on live right now because I want a little bit more privacy. And she's using that in an attempt to manipulate and twist his words to mean it's fine if I leave. She doesn't want to be there because his emotions are burdensome and she doesn't get anything out of it. The thing about wanting to see other people happy is that you do it because you want to see other people happy. You don't gain anything else out of it. There are people in my life who, if they are happy, then I am happy. Genuinely. Like, my little sister is a good example of that. She makes me absolutely bonkers, but I love her so much. She is like maybe the most important person to me in my entire life. There's like one other person competing for that spot. Partner's number 2. You guys don't know the other person, but she means so much to me, you know. Well, you guys do know the other. You know, you guys know I have a brother too. I don't know why I felt like the need to keep that secretive, but they mean the world to me. They mean everything to me. So if there was something I could do to alleviate pain for them, even if it does nothing for me, I would do it. Because their happiness is my happiness. I have friends who I go out of my way to do nice things for. Not because I'm a saint, but because intrinsically their happiness is tied to my happiness. You know, they both appreciate at the same level. They both go up at the same level. That's how you are with people you love. You don't need anything from them. That's not how you see your relationship with Pete's. And that's why she wants to leave so badly, because his mood is just going to bring her down. And the fact that she could do something to alleviate his mood is not enough for her to stay. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't care about Pete's. At the end of the day, she doesn't love Pete's. He's convenient. That's all he really is. She might think that she does, but when he can't provide her with anything, this is how she treats him. And that's just not how you treat people you love.
it's not like he has to care. I'm burdening him so badly for caring for the cats. Like what? Feeding? Like, I know he's depressed. I feel bad for him. I'm severely mentally ill myself. I'm not really equipped to help somebody out of there, I'm there for him,
but you're not there for him. You're literally leaving. You're literally not there for him. And I just want to point out that they've had some pretty severe weather advisory warnings, which means that there's a potential that she could go over to Natter's house, the weather changes, and she wouldn't be able to come back. Maybe for days she could get snowed in. She's inebriated half the time, and even if she could, which she mentions this a little bit later, so I'll address it then, but entirely possible that she might not be back for days, and he needs the help now because he's admitted it. He's asked you. Sometimes you have to learn to read between the lines, and she is not so stupid that I think she's incapable of it. She just doesn't want to. And by the way, this is not about putting somebody else's mental health on her, right? I have my own mental health concerns. I have pretty bad generalized anxiety. I think I've mentioned this to you guys before. I'm a very anxious person, officially diagnosed, so yay. But I have generalized anxiety, and it's super fun knowing that I have that and not really be able to do anything productive about it because it's just kind of how I'm built. When I look at the way that Chantal behaves and she uses her mental health as a scapegoat for all the negative things in her life, that's not how that works. Chantal has anxiety herself, and I'm sure she's prone to depression as well. And on that point, she says that, well, you know, taking care of the cats isn't that hard, you know. That's how she phrases it. Well, what? He just feeds the cats? He just changes out their litter? You know, and her tone of voice and her pinpointing those things say that those aren't that difficult and that Pete can do them even if he's depressed. When she's depressed, she doesn't shower, leave her room, or even go downstairs for food. Forget do anything for the cats. So when you're depressed, you can't even leave your room for days on end. But when Pete is so depressed that he's literally saying it's getting unbearable, he should still have the energy to feed your cats. Why is it that when you're depressed, you have such different rules than when Pete is depressed? Why are the rules different for you than for him? You're not a better person than him. He's your best friend, for God's sakes. If nothing else, you both deserve equal amounts of care. He should get to stay in his room and not worry about anything with you bringing food up to him. But you can't admit that, because if you admit that, then you would have to stay home and take care of the cats and feed him and make sure that he gets stuff that he needs. Admitting that would mean that he would have to do for you that you would have to do for him what he's been doing for you. And you don't want to put in effort, because fuck that shit, he's not you. Him having a better time doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't bring you any kind of joy or relief or happiness.
As he needs me, and I think part of his problem is that probably part of it that maybe that I'm with Nader, or that or whatever else, you know, like a lot of things. Like, you don't even need reason to be depressed if you're depressed. What am I supposed to do?
Pete's being depressed could be for a variety of reasons. It could be because she's with Nader, but I really doubt that. Not that I'm an expert or anything like that. I think that it's much more likely that her absence and him being so isolated, him not having a job right now, him just generally struggling overall with with depression, and him being completely isolated and his beloved pet dying. I think it's a combination of those things. Her fucking off to Nader's for prolonged periods of time, that is probably exacerbating it, though I don't think it's Nader himself. That's giving Nader a little bit too much credit. He would love to think that he's driven Pete to depression, because that's the kind of person he is. If I thought I'd driven someone to depression, I'd hate myself every single day. But, you know, he's a real man. I'm not.
Like, not turn off my feelings and not live my life the way I want because it affects someone else? You guys?
Yeah. I do that all the time. I moderate my behavior based on how I might be affecting those I love around me. Because if it was just up to me, I would be a much, much different person. I would use all of the money that I have, and I would just travel every single day of my life, and that's all I would do. I would devolve into hedonistic pleasure, because I display a lot of the same negative mental behavioral traits that Chantal does. I have the same lack of control sometimes. I have that same impulse to be self-destructive. I wouldn't plan for the future. I would buy everything and be extremely impulsive. I would self-medicate. I don't do those things because I know that there are going to be consequences later on down the line, because I know I'm going to hurt the people around me. And I guess in that sense, we are different. I am not the most empathetic person, and I get angry very, very fast, but I do seem to possess more empathy than you do. I know that if I devolved into that kind of self-destruction, the first people that it would hurt are the people that I love the most. My siblings, my partner, my parents, my friends. I don't want to do that to them. I don't want them to have to see that. I don't want them to have to suffer because of my decisions. And you don't seem to care, and that's the problem. This is what a chronic lack of shame does to a person.
You guys are shouting at me to, like, leave Nader, go home, to do things that you really want me to do. But I want to sleep there tonight. I want to be with him tonight. I love him. I want to be there tonight. We have a very different relationship offline.
I don't give a shit about your relationship online or offline. I just want you to realize how many times you've used the statement I when we're talking about your friend, James, who's suffering, who's having a hard time. You don't even seem to consider what he might need. And that's the problem. She is incapable of seeing it from anyone else's point of view. She is the eternal victim of the world. Like, Chantal has a very low self-esteem, but the problem with having a low self-esteem is that it can swing towards the narcissism end of the spectrum a lot. And that's where she is. Extremely self-conscious and displaying some pretty alarming narcissistic traits. And that's why it does not matter what Pete wants. Also, if you're in love with someone, you can spend a night away from them. Fun fact. If you've been with him for what, 6 months now? Right? And I get that not all of it has been together and you guys have had some pretty wild breakups, but I when I was together with my partner, I spent time away from him all of the time. And it's fine. I miss him and I love him, but we are individual people. I don't like the concept of someone completing you, because that implies that I'm an incomplete person. I'm not. He's a complete person on his own. I'm a complete person on my own. And when we interact, we cast a shadow. We put a blur filter on the negative aspects of each other. We help each other be better, but we're not incomplete together. That's why I have no issue leaving. The other honest matter is that she doesn't trust him to not do something that she would not approve of. It's why she can't leave him alone. I have no concerns about that. And I'm using myself as an example because I don't want to give hypotheticals. But partner travels all the time. Go places for work, things that he has to do. It's fine. I'm never concerned that he would be doing something. Well, the only thing I'm really concerned about is that he had to go to Vegas one time and he went to Puck, the restaurant, Wolfgang Puck's restaurant. No, Cut, Wolfgang Puck's restaurant. And he spent like a ridiculous amount in getting a steak. And I was like, how could you just eat our money? But that was mostly playful. I'm not like genuinely mad at him. That was it. That's literally my biggest concern when partner goes places. It was like, this guy is going to spend so much money while he's there. Because partner loves a good deal. Something's on sale. He's going to be like, I'm going to buy that. But I don't worry about him hurting my feelings. I don't worry about, even with the money, I'm like, I'm not worried that he's going to go somewhere and spend like $5,000 that we don't have. Because I know who he is as a person. I have faith in who he is as a person. No matter how many arguments we have, I know it's all surface level petty bullshit. The deep down person that he is, the core personality traits that he has, I have no concerns with. And that's the problem here. She can't leave Nader alone because she doesn't believe that he will not cheat on her. And she is too insecure to ever find that level of comfort in anyone else because she cheats on people. And she projects. We've seen it all the time. She projects. And he is a known cheater. That's why she can't leave.
Not ditching Pete's for Nader. There's room in my life for everybody. And if there's not, I'm not going to ditch a friendship of 20 years for somebody. I don't know why you think I'm that type of person. I've been more, I'm not
You're literally sitting in the car driving away while your friend said just a few hours ago that he was so depressed that it was getting unbearable. If I heard that in a friend, I would literally sit in their house. Like they would have to call the police to get me to leave. I'm not lying here. There is very little, like I had a friend who went through postpartum depression. And literally, like we were at her house every couple of days, like somebody was at her house. And this is while she had family and her partner there. Because that's what you do. That's what you do.
neglectful, I guess. I don't know how to say it. So it's
You can't say it any other way because that's what it is. You're a neglectful friend. You're a neglectful parent to your cats. You're a neglectful friend to Pete's. And you're a neglectful family member to your family. You're toxic to everybody around you, including Nader somehow, which is amazing given that he is maybe the most garbage person of most people I've ever met.
becoming a bit much for him. He doesn't have to take care of the cats then. They don't go to him for attention. So I can go there every single day, take care of that's another thing that gets on my nerves. People bothering with my cats. That's my business. They're my cats.
Right, you make it our business when you put it on the internet. Also, how do you know they don't go to Pete's for attention? You're not there. They might.
I'm doing nothing wrong. They are my cats, and I take care of my cats.
You don't take care of your cats. You just said yourself, you admitted that Pete's is the one who feeds them and scoops out their litter. So what are you doing for your cats? They haven't been brushed in God knows how long, and no one's taking them to the vet. That's it. The only thing left is attention, and you're not there for 40 hours out of a 48-hour cycle.
Because I'm not there 24/7, even if I have to
It's not a matter of not being there 24/7. At this point, you're barely there 4/7.
go there after my coffee bees and be there all day, go in the evening and spend I have to divide my time because that's what I want to do. And
Right, but it's not an even division. It's not 50-50. It's not even 70-30. It's like 95-5 if people are lucky. And that 5 you're there, you're showering and getting clean clothes. And by the way, just not being at Natter's house doesn't mean that you're spending all of that time there, because you spend a lot of time in the car sitting at like various fast food places because he's been feeding you healthy and you now need to get your junk food fix in. Getting Starbucks coffee and waiting in line for 40 minutes at a time. Just because you're not at Natter's doesn't mean that you are at home and being there and present for Pete's. If you were, signs of someone being that depressed would be pretty imminent to you.
Yes, I feel horrible for what Pete's is going through, and I'm doing everything I can. I mean, no, I can't be there 24/7.
No one's asking you for 24/7. But I don't think it's too much to ask for you to sleep at your own house one day in a week. And the fact that you can't even do that, and you're like, I don't want to do that. I want to go and sleep at Natter's. And so, I mean, I'm saying this as someone who now knows what's happening, which is that she comes home and she's like, he doesn't love me. Good. I'm glad he doesn't love you. I'm glad you're feeling a little bit of the heartache that I'm sure you left Pete's in. And I'm not the kind of person who vindictively wishes the worst on people. But Chantal needs to learn that. She needs that incredible pain of having someone treat her like incredible trash so that she can learn what she's put other people through. I'm not even sure if that's going to work.
So if that bothers you that I'm not home 24/7, then just unsubscribe right now, because I'm not me. Yeah, KB, you too, you get on my fucking nerves. You're just a hater. You're in here all the time being friggin' crusty. It's my...
I wouldn't talk about crust from other people. Chantal, you are... The level of crust that you have descended to right now, this entire stream, an hour and 30 minutes of pure unadulterated rage because people were calling you a really terrible friend. What level of crust is that, ma'am?
My fucking life. What do you want me to do?
Not be a bad friend. It's really not that hard.
Hello. I just spent all night with Pete.
I want someone to give me a timeline of how much time she exactly spent with him, because by my estimation, it was something like 6 hours in a 24-hour period. That's...
You guys are like, you're not getting the picture. Like, no, I don't want to spend one night away from Natter. Why? Why?
To take care of your friend, to be there for your friend. The fact that that's not a good enough answer for you means that you prioritize your wants over his needs. And that does make you a bad person.
He's still going to be depressed when I leave.
Yeah, but depression tends to have a way that it tends to run its course in people, especially when it's untreated and getting worse. And the problem is that one night can make a huge difference.
He's still going to be depressed when I leave the next morning. Why would I? What? So why? My stuff is there to sleep there. I want to sleep with Natter. We're making things work, and that's it. He's isolated in that apartment. And
the next time you come on here and say, I'm just so depressed, well, you're still going to be depressed tomorrow, so I don't have to show you sympathy now. You know, you're still going to be sad tomorrow, so why do I have to be nice to you now? I'll call you a horrible person now because you're a horrible person as far as I'm concerned. There's no need for me to take your mental health into consideration. Clearly, you don't seem to care about the mental health of others. And he's isolated in his apartment right now. You could actively do something about that, such as, I don't know, make sure he's not isolated in his apartment.
And what do you want me to do, Abby?
Stay the fuck at home.
What do you want me to do? I'm going to go there every single day and spend hours there. I don't know what more I can do.
You're not going to spend hours at home every single day. If stuff's going well with Natter, you're barely home 2 hours a day.
He's not suicidal. He said he's not. It's not a matter of if it did or not, either.
It's amazing. You would think that people who are suicidal... It's amazing. You would think that people who are thinking about self-harming are just going to come out and tell you that they're thinking about self-harming. You know, if they're thinking of unaliving themselves, they're going to shout it from the rooftops. That's how that works, right? They're so forthcoming with stuff like that. It's not, if you're thinking about stuff like that, you don't automatically become stupid. People tend to make, like, I'm trying to find a way to say this in which I don't get hit by YouTube censors, but whatever, screw it. If I get hit by it, I get hit by it. When you are thinking about doing something that serious to yourself, understand that sometimes, like, the way that those thoughts tend to run their course is that you plan for things. I didn't become unintelligent when I was depressed. I was still as intelligent and methodical as I am with everything else in my life as I was then. which means that if I wanted to concoct a plan of action to actually follow through on those thoughts, I would have done it with the same amount of precision and effort I put into anything else. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to disclose that information. Do you think that my friend who had postpartum depression didn't talk to a doctor, that she didn't have enough support there? Of course not. She saw a bunch of doctors, but we're not stupid. If we don't want people to know, it can be kind of hard to guess. And when you just have one form that you have to fill out talking about how you feel, it counts on your honesty. And if you don't feel like talking to somebody, you can fool people into believing you're fine well enough, at least people you don't know. So Pete's could be saying that because he wants you to leave him alone because he's having really terrible thoughts. I'm not saying that. Please, I'm not even putting that into the universe, but I'm saying that is a possibility. And if you have depression, then you should understand that that possibility is there. And the fact that you don't seem to understand is disgusting.
He's lying, she's lying. It's about moving on, forgiveness, and trying to make it work and be positive. And coming on here every single frigging day, just being berated for like my basic life choices is not going to fly with me.
Well, we don't care if it flies with you or not. I don't care about your emotional needs because you're still going to have emotional needs tomorrow.
It's ridiculous. The online hate is just fucking retarded. It's just fucking ridiculous.
She says the R word slur again. I'm going to pinpoint that just so that in the future when she decides to flip-flop and say, I've never said it, we have that on record. But also, if you don't want people to give you hate online, then don't come online. You can't have it both ways.
One night's not going to make a difference, guys.
It could if someone was having very serious dark thoughts.
People are horrible for putting his mental health on me. Like, that's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, they're horrible for putting his mental health on you. But when you come on here and say, I'm very mentally ill, I'm very depressed, you're also horrible then for putting your emotional problems on us. When you come on here and you dump about how bad your relationship is, you're horrible for disclosing that on us. Because if your relationship's bad, fuck that, that's you. That's a you problem. My relationship is great. So you can't have it both ways. Either people are putting Pete's emotional state, James's emotional state on you, and you are not responsible for it. And therefore we are not responsible or should consider being empathetic to you when you are going through something. Or both of those things are true. They should try and be more empathetic towards you, and you should try and be more empathetic towards him. But as far as I'm concerned, I like Pete a whole lot more than I like you. So I'm not willing to give you any kind of preferential treatment here.
Who hurt you, KB? Goodbye, KB. I'm tired of you and your negativity. Bye. Abby, too, can kiss my ass.
She didn't even say anything. She didn't even say, like, Abby didn't even say anything that I think is false here. She didn't even say anything insulting.
I don't need PayPal donations. I heard.
She loves using this, oh, people send me stuff. I get emails about this all the time. No. When I tell you guys that I got like a couple people asking me about whether or not I should do memberships, it was literally like a few people, like 3 people were like, hey, I don't really want to make Patreon. She acts like hundreds of people are sending her emails. No. People really don't like you all that much. They're not going to invest all that much energy into it. And why would people want to give her PayPal information anyway? You get literally nothing out of that.
People were emailing me and said YouTube takes 30% of super chats. Put your PayPal. You can put a direct link. So instead of sending super chats, you can send PayPal directly. I have so much, like, I just feel like, I feel selfish and self-absorbed, but I feel like I don't know how any other way to act right now. Because I can't, like, give. I'm just, like, spread thin everywhere.
What are you spread thin with? Because you don't have anything else going in your life. There are no friends, there's no family, there's no job. The only thing you have is natter, eating. I think that's it. So what exactly is it that's spreading you so thin? Because it seems to me like to you spreading thin means anything you don't want to do is all of a sudden I'm spread too thin. It's requiring too much effort. That's what it feels like to me.
I'm doing what I can, like, for everybody. Like,
there's no everybody in your life. You don't have anyone else in your life. There's Natter, there's you, there's the cats. I guess that's 4, and then there's James. And you're not doing anything for James, and you're not doing anything for the cat. So there's Natter and there's you. Those are the only 2 people that you're actually doing anything for. So, and she's talking about how do I not be selfish? You know, that's a really good question for a therapist. They might even give you some exercises there.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Yes,
No.
I realize that somebody queefed. I realize that. So, what do you want me to do? Break up with him and go and spend 24/7 again with Pete's and the cats?
I don't know, but spending a little bit of time with Pete's and the cats would be nice. No one's asking for 24 hours. I can't pinpoint one message that said spend 24 hours with them again. We're saying stay there the night, sleep the night. It's one night. 12 hours, right? Half of what she's saying. But, of course, she's not going to say that. She's not going to say that they're only asking me for 12, 8, honestly, even 6 hours more of my time. Because saying that would imply that they're being much more reasonable. And then she can't dismiss their concerns without sounding like the actual jackass that she is.
That's what you want me to do, but that's not what I want to do. And you want me to sleep there and everything.
Yeah, we do want you to sleep there and everything. And yeah, we know that's not what you want. You said that multiple times. It's just sad that you seem to care so little about your friend. It's genuinely heartbreaking that you care so little about a 20-year-old friendship. And honestly, it makes me feel like you are... Sharon made the right call most of all, but that your family made the right call. If you can care so little about other people, if you're so incredibly selfish and self-absorbed, people should cut you out of their lives because you're a toxic drain on everyone around you. It's all you are. So that was my entire video. I don't really know how I came across in my demeanor. I'm feeling a lot of feelings right now. A lot of them are pretty upset. I'm going to record a video a little bit after this. I'm just going to get some stuff done first because I do have some emails I have to answer. And I'll put the link to the candle that's behind me in the links just below. I bought it from a maker's fair when I had been visiting San Francisco. It's a really nice candle. It's like rose tea rose scented. Anyway, it's a really nice candle. I'm trying to support more small businesses and not like the big Yankee candles and stuff of the world. They don't need my money. So yeah, I'll leave the link down below if you guys are interested. And thank you guys so much for being here to watch me. I don't really know, like I said, how my demeanor came across. I think I was pretty upset, but not angry at her. That happens sometimes. I have more than one emotion, not always, but sometimes. And yeah, thank you for being here with me. I always appreciate the time that people put forward, and I know this is going to be a really long video. So it more appreciated than I can say. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. Thank you to all my patrons: Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Darkness Dust, Dainty B, Sidra Z, Colleen L, Debbie E, Juju, Just a Jude, Kate O, Sonia P, D. Higgins, and Oceana Songs. Thank you guys so much.